What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back in to the Film Guy Network on a fabulous Sunday afternoon. It's 3:15 local Eastern time here. And look, we do a Sunday reaction show every Sunday at noon during college football season. We do a lot of film work around here. But what is the point of building a very, very nice television quality studio capable of going into breaking news action if you're not going to use it? Like now, which is the better, what better time to use and break into live breaking, unscripted, no notes, just raw thoughts, immediate actions and reactions rather to news than this Sunday, November 30th, 2025, which might go down as one of the craziest times in I've ever been a part of. So we're going to give you our live thoughts and reactions right now. So we got LSU hiring Lane Kiffin officially. He out, leaving Ole Miss. The plane's already scheduled to leave the tarmac. He'll be in Baton Rouge. Maybe by the time you're watching this, honest to God, gonna take the entire offensive nucleus, the entire offensive brainstem. He probably gonna take Joe Judge. Probably gonna take Charlie Weiss Jr. Probably gonna take Dane Stevens. Probably gonna take Trinidad Chambliss when he's done playing. He's going to try to take every single member of that offensive brainstem that he can humanly possibly take with him down to Baton Rouge. Now, that's part of the reason why we talked about it in our Sunday show. Ain't no way in hell you could ever even think about possibly letting this dude coach in the college football playoff for this football team. All right? Because he was already on a mission to take everything that he has built, everything he's built out there in Oxford that he thinks he's responsible for, everything with him to Baton Rouge. All of it. If he could have taken Pete Golden with him, he probably would have. But that's who they have named their permanent head football coach because, no offense to Pete Golden, had to be the interim head football coach at bare minimum because who the hell's going to coach this 11-1 playoff team? Great decision there. I think it's an even better decision from an immediate result standpoint to name him the permanent head football coach. But where were they going to go? Who were they going to hire? If it wasn't, they put all their chips into, we got to stow up and make sure we keep Lane to the point of we'll offer him everything. We'll offer him the king's ransom. We'll give him match every dollar we possibly humanly can to make sure he stays with us. All right. What are we going to do? We got you couldn't hire John Sumrall because he's going to Florida. We'll talk about that in a second. Couldn't hire Alex Golesh because he's going to Auburn. So what were you going to do other than definitely hire Pete Golden to be the interim and definitely give him a chance to be the long-term head football coach? Might as well push the chips in behind him now as the head football coach and hope it provides some sense of continuity and we got to go battle for this football guy. He is our future type of performances over the next 4 football games that are paramount. They're the most, pivotal 4 football games that this football program has had in 50 years of football out there at Ole Miss. So I think it's a great decision and the only decision really for them to have made. Be honest with you, I stepped my foot in it and I wholeheartedly believe, and I loved up Ole Miss, and I think Ole Miss fans are great and they have every right to be upset about Lane leaving, especially the way that he did, especially trolling the way that he did, especially the way that he's about to go about stealing everything that he can on his way out, right? You have every right to feel as if you have been stolen from because you have been stolen from. And to an extent, lied to and trifled with. You were played to an extent. Now you can make whatever jokes you want about deciding to lay down with who you lay down with. I'm not blaming you for that. I'm not a victim blamer. All that being said, LSU is undoubtedly the better job. Okay, so I don't condone the way he went about it. I do not. But if given the options of coaching at Ole Miss or coaching at LSU, you take LSU 9 times out of 7, and you don't bat your eye, and you don't even think about it. If you have the options to play at Ole Miss or LSU, unless you went to or grew up in the state of Mississippi and damn near close to Oxford, you go to LSU. There is no debates about where these programs stand. And you can do the whole, here's what their records have been the last 4 years. Okay, that's fine. I think it's a disingenuous argument. All right. So there is no which one of these is better. This is an upgrade. He would have been crazy to pass up the opportunity. and it is a crime, not on his own doing, that the calendar is the way that the calendar is. And honestly, college football calendar is nearing ever so slightly into the discussion of save the whales, pay the teachers. I want world peace. I want the college football calendar to be fixed. I know how to fix the college football calendar. I want world peace. Stop shooting each other and sending off bombs and treading on people's territories. Seems simple. I know how to fix the college football calendar. Stop acting like college football players should be tied to the school calendar. Stop acting like they are still scholarship athletes or whatever you call them, student athletes. Stop acting like that's the case. No, they're athletes that happen to be students that also happen to pay most of our bills around here. That's what they are. And the moment we're real about that, we can be real about the college football calendar. And then Lane Kiffin don't got to get put into this hold when he's at Ole Miss and gets offered the opportunity to go to LSU. All right? So there's that. Now, I will not be hearing, I already see it in the chat, somebody paid to say it. I will not be hearing, does this impact Ole Miss's playoff futures because their head football coach is gone? I will also not be hearing this, situation being compared to Florida State losing their starting quarterback. And you'll say, but Brooks, the starting quarterback's not near as important as the head football coach. I would argue, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're 100% right. But I watched Florida State look like poop for 3 weeks. I did. I watched Florida State look like poop for 3 weeks. And I also remember there being 6 college football playoff worthy football teams with which the college football playoff committee had to dwindle down to 4. One of which was Georgia, who had just lost their only football game of the year to Alabama in the SEC championship game. And the other one was Florida State, who had just rock fight their way through 2 unranked ACC football games. There wasn't no discussion. You took the 4 that were most worthy. Now, there are about 13 to 14, maybe 15 college football teams who are worthy of a college football playoff spot. Ole Miss is firmly entrenched in like the top 8 of those. So we can't be out here dropping them 4 spots because Lane Kiffin want to get up out of there. You can't do that. That's not, I'm not all for life's about fairness, but that would be a little bit unfair. I think we could all agree with that. So yeah, it might impact their seeding. It might impact a spot or 2. We will not be dropping them out. That is way, way outside of the discussion. I can't help but to feel for Ole Miss football fans, okay? Because not only is it Lane Kiffin leaving for LSU, not only is it Lane Kiffin leaving for LSU the way that he did, not only is it Lane Kiffin leaving for LSU in the way that he did in the midst of an 11-1 playoff season, all of that, it's just gross. You feel gross. I feel gross throughout the entire thing about it. And there are people who have, like, 2 football programs to me, having know what I know, all these football programs nowadays, their fan bases are having way too much responsibility fiduciarily, right? Monetarily, paying these rosters. Way too much of a responsibility. All right. But no 2 fan bases more responsible for the level of talent that they have, in my opinion, than Tennessee and Ole Miss. Those are crowdsourced fundings. Okay. Georgia's got old money. They've been dedicating resources to football for a long time. The Coffins have had a lot of cash in them for a long time because they've cared about football and been good at football for a long time. Ohio State's got billionaires left and right. USC's got billionaires left and right. Texas got billionaires left and MFing right. Ole Miss is good right now because Johnny, who has saved up his entire life for, I don't know, a brand new, this is going to be demeaning, a big old chunk of land. Instead of buying 250 acres down there in Mississippi, Johnny is buying 150 acres and making sure that Ole Miss can get a new D tackle out of the portal. That's what they're doing out there. And we got Buddy dipping out because he thinks it's easier thinks it's consistently easier to win at LSU. Is he right? Yes, he's right. Does that make him feel any better? Hell no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, I don't know. I like chat saying that Ole Miss is keeping the entire offensive staff. I don't think that to be the case. Per Ole Miss 24/7 editor. Okay. Per him, the most recent update I saw from a source that I trusted on the internet was that Lane Kiffin is in the midst of telling his entire offensive staff, you either come with me and you are on this plane and you are in Baton Rouge by the end of the night, or you don't have a job with me. Now, you can stay here. That's fine. I'm out. So, all those offensive guys are there because of Lane. All right. And for Lane, from my understanding. All right. Those people who are coaching offensive football at Ole Miss are doing so because they have chosen to coach football under the likes of Lane Kiffin. And they will do so until they get a better job. Aha. Which leads us to why they might stay in Oxford. Not only do you get a chance to coach in the college football playoff if you stay and don't leave with Lane, but let's say you're an offensive graduate assistant. Let's say you're an offensive analyst. Maybe you've been wanting to get onto an on-field position coaching job for a while, and the wide receivers coach just decided to leave with Lane. Now you have an on-field job. Let's say whatever you are, you have an opportunity for elevation if you stay. But Lane's offering you technically, by all metrics, an upgrade in opportunity at LSU. Because if you are Charlie Weiss Jr. and you go from being the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss to the offensive coordinator at LSU, you have received an upgrade. I hate to say that. That is the reality. That's the way the coaching world views this, by the way. So, and that's the way most people view this apart from Ole Miss fans. Okay? That's the reality. And it's probably a pay bump. Considering I would imagine LSU is giving him everything with regards to what Ole Miss was giving him and more. So that's what we got going on right now at Ole Miss, and it is ugly. It is absolutely ugly, and it stinks. Like I said, it stinks. Decommitments already happening on the recruiting circuit as well for them, and I think there's going to be a lot of people, as I see in the chat right now, rooting for his downfall out there at LSU. I do not have any feelings about him leaving Ole Miss for LSU. I have lots of disagreements with the way that he chose to do this. All right. But I've said this about this guy left and right. There are a lot of things I do not like about Lane Kiffin, but I do love him. And I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what that says about me either. I love him from watching a football mind, right? Watching particularly offensive football mind. I love watching him from that standpoint. I couldn't imagine being married to the guy. You know what I mean? As a fan, I could not imagine being married to the guy. So there's that. Lane will not win a natty at LSU, so says the chat. Hot take. If you give a damn, if you try, if you don't golf 120 days out of the year, you'll probably win a national title at LSU. Am I oversimplifying it? I don't think so. Guys, what's Ed Orgeron's bag? Defensive line coaching? Some bitch, a national title winner with the best football team we've all ever seen. Hey, what y'all know about Les Miles? How good of a football coach y'all think Les Miles is? He's a national championship winner. I know Nick Saban's great. We all know that. But they've had two not to demean those football coaches, they've had two less than stellar football coaches do something that really, really good football coaches will never do, and that's win a title. I think he'll be all right down there. I don't think he's going, crash out. I don't think he's going to crash out. So there's that. All right. Should we talk about, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Auburn hire. Or do y'all want Florida first? Let's go Auburn first. All right. We talked about this on Sunday's reaction show because it was already like in the headlines. It was already talked about. Okay. It was already kind of forecasted that Alex Golesh, the head coach at South Florida, was going to be taking the Auburn coaching job. First and foremost, that South Florida job is the best mid-major job, in my opinion, in college football available. Proximity to talent is insane. They just dedicated $250 million to a brand new stadium on campus in Tampa. Tremendous job opportunity for whoever takes it. All right. I also think it's a really, really hard conference. Don't get me wrong. The American is arguably harder to win right now than the ACC. Okay. It's a really, really tough job to be really, really good at. And he has been really, really good at it. The other thing you should know about this, that apparently, like we talked about in Sunday's show, some Auburn fans don't know, this is a wide choice offense. You have hired an offensive play caller who is an offensive-minded football coach who runs wide choice. If you don't know what wide choice is, it's what Tennessee does, okay? It's what now Mississippi State does. It is oftentimes labeled gimmick, okay? Very oftentimes labeled gimmick. 100% of the time will be anti-recruited against. These are things you need to know. These are things you need to know. I'm not being a hater. I'm being a realistic person who is going to let you know as an Auburn fan right now what you are going to get told. Your players are going to get told by other football coaches. That is a wide choice system. Wide receivers go there to die. They don't develop quarterbacks. It's a gimmicky system. They don't play good defense. They put their defense at risk. They don't prioritize wide receiver development. These are things you're going to have to fight against. You're going to have to overcome. You know how I know this? Tennessee's having to do this constantly. Tennessee's like Chris Brazzell will have to go through this year. Chris Brazzell will be downgraded in the NFL draft process because he plays at Tennessee. And thus, Tristan Keys was told this over and over again. You should not go there as a 5-star wide receiver because they don't do such and such. These are conversations you need to have. These are conversations you need to know when you sign and hire a football coach like this. It does not mean it's not going to work. For the love of God, like Josh Heupel has gone back-to-back 10-win seasons and had a downtick this year, okay? He's going to go 8-4 this year, and it's going to look tough, but he lost to 4 really good football teams, okay? He did not lose to Kentucky at home. He did not lose to Missouri at home. All right. That's not what he did. All right. He's coaching really, really good football, and it's working at a higher rate than it has in 20 plus years at Tennessee. So these things can come to this conference and work. I don't mean to be out here being like, oh, doubter on the offense guy. Nope. Believe in it. Think it can work. You just need to know what it is. You need to know the challenges that it presents and the things you have to overcome because of it. The other question we have to ask about this hire, what does this mean for DJ Durkin? DJ Durkin was the highest paid assistant in all of college football. Second highest. Jim Knowles at Penn State, defensive coordinator. DJ Durkin was the second highest paid assistant in all of college football and was a damn good DC. Is a damn good DC. What happens? Is he gone? Do we know? Does he stick around? Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Those are big questions, right? Those are massive, massive questions about this football program, as are what happens with Deuce Knight? What happens with Cam Coleman? Do they like this system? Can Golesh commit them to stay? Hey, does Bynum Brown have an extra year of eligibility? I don't think so, right? All of these questions have to come down to play when you have a new football coach like this, all right? So I think I don't like grading hires. Here's the good news. If I were an Auburn fan, I know, or if I were speaking to an Auburn fan, I can tell you this without a shadow of a doubt, 100% with everything in my soul, he's better than Hugh Freeze. Which is good. Okay. So there is that. You're going to recruit. You're still going to recruit really, really well, you would imagine. Because it's a dollars and cents sport. Player acquisition is about how much can you pay me. And Yellowwood pockets run deep. So I think you're okay there. Let's go down to Florida. And I like Sumrall. Okay. I like that Sumrall, you know, I see a lot of myself in Sumrall. And I don't mean to like make it about me, but here's what I see. And here's what I try to apply to my life. I see obsession. I see no days off. I see main thing, the main thing. I see, oh, that worked for this guy. Let me study it as hard as I can, figure out how I can do it my way with doing it his way. I see, oh, there's 24 hours in a day. Let me sleep 5 and then prioritize how I can make sure those 19 are better than anybody else's 19. I see all these things. I see no hobbies. I see no friends. That's what I see. I see a little bit of what makes Nick Saban. I see a little bit what makes Kirby Smart. I see a little bit what makes Dan Lanning. I see a little bit what makes Brent Venables. I see a little bit of what makes all of these defensive freaks that's brains work like this and former players whose brains work like this that go on and have ultimate success as head football coaches. That's what I see in that guy. And by the way, I don't think he bucks a lot of trends, and sometimes this is why they're the best hires at places like this. And I talked about this on the Sunday show as well. Down at Florida, you have prioritized flash, pizzazz, offense, fun, win the press conference, that type of stuff. I feel like that's what they have prioritized down there for a long, long time. This ain't that. This is prioritizing ball. This is prioritizing. Nah, let's get a lunatic. Okay, hey, bring me the craziest SOB down here. The one who has no time for no bullshit. That one. Give me that guy. And we'll see what happens. We've tried the offensive guru. We've tried that. We've tried the he's really good in front of a microphone. Damn, he'd be good on TV. Man, he really did some fun stuff with Dak Prescott that one time. Maybe he'll do some fun stuff with Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts for one time. Y'all tried all that. Why don't you try meat and potatoes? This is what this is. This is meat and potatoes. And people in here will say, like, I think a lot of Florida fans will see no offensive background, mid-major football coach, and those two things will scare them because we're Florida, we like offense, and we just hired the mid-major guy that had success, flash in a pan stuff. But the difference is this guy's done it twice. This guy did it at Troy. This guy did it at Tulane. He'll probably do it at your place. I think bottom line floor at Florida right now under Sumrall will probably be 8-4. And the ceiling is God only knows what. And if I'm a Texas or if I'm a Florida fan, I'm going to buy a floor right quick. I've done enough of trying to buy ceilings. I'm buying some floor. I think it's a really, really good floor football hire. All right. Now, there is something to be said about questioning who was hey, is Josh Heupel the last mid-major hire that's done it at a really, really high rate? Came from UCF, stepped into that Tennessee job, bangarang. Who's the last mid-major guy? And I'm sure I'm missing somebody. I'm sure there is somebody. Maybe but Kenny Dillingham's working, and that was a former OC. Anybody got an example of this mid-major football coach? And I'm waiting on the chat here if you can't tell if you're watching me on rewatch. This mid-major football coach won at a high rate. We hired him at a Power 4 level, and bang, immediate success. Eli Drinkowitz, App State. Is that our answer? I think so. But the highest football coaches, like you think of the top 5 football guys right now, they either got hired as we're spending 6, 7. Sig's a great answer. Sig is the answer. But again, that was 4 stops, guys. I think. Wasn't that PBU or something like PIU, some Division II school? Then I met Elon. Then I'm at James Madison. Now I'm at Indiana. That's 4 stops over. This is 2 stops over into our third. So I'm not saying it's not. Again, just talked about how much I love the hire. Just throwing a little water on it just to say in case, being a little devil's advocate type of guy right here, or coward with the opinion. So I'm thinking of like Marcus Freeman was in-house DC linebackers coach, bang up hire at Notre Dame, incredible, right? Mike Elko, incredible hire at A&M. That was winning at Duke as a head football coach. Who else we got? Okay, I'm talking about more recent hires that have obviously been home runs. Lane Kiffin, FAU to Ole Miss. There are some. Maybe this is more of there ain't a lot of success stories in these coaching hiring things. Maybe that's what it is. Clark Lee was a defensive coordinator before taking the head coaching job at Vandy, I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong there. Let's check Super Chubs before we get out of here. Being reported 2 people will board the plane, Lane and his brother Chris. No one else will follow him. Interesting. I want to read this. I haven't looked at this. Let's read this out loud. After a lot of prayer and time spent with family, I made the difficult decision to accept the head coaching position at LSU. I was hoping to complete a historic 6-season run with this year's team by leading Ole Miss through the playoffs, capitalizing on the team's incredible success and their commitment to finish strong and investing everything into a playoff run with guardrails in place to protect the program in any areas of concern. My request to do so was denied by Keith Carter, despite the team also asking him to allow me to keep coaching them so they could better maintain their high level of performance. Unfortunately, that means Friday's Egg Bowl was my last game coaching the Rebels. While I am looking forward to a new start with unique opportunity at LSU, I will forever cherish the incredible 6 years I spent at Ole Miss, and we're rooting hard for the team to complete their mission and bring a championship to Oxford. I have one major concern. Okay. One primary point of contention with this statement right here. Okay. Where are we at? Yeah. I was hoping to complete a historic 6-season run with this year's team by leading Ole Miss through the playoffs, capitalizing on the team's incredible success and their commitment to finish strong, and investing everything into a playoff run with guardrails in place to protect the program in any areas of concern. First and foremost, Coach, how are you going to invest everything into winning a national title at Ole Miss while starting a new program at LSU? There are not 2 of you. There is no everything in you in both spots. Impossible. Also, ironic that you tell me that you are going to adhere to protective guardrails to Ole Miss's football program, and then immediately, per reports, telling the entire staff, if you don't get your ass on this plane today, you ain't got a job down in Baton Rouge. The blasphemy, the unmitigated gall to look me in my eye via a social media post and tell me that. Good on you for leaving the comments on, though. My God, the bravery. I can't wait to read them. I love y'all. I got to go watch some film and stop talking about this drama and nonsense. We'll see y'all.